We just left the town of West Yellowstone. We're traveling due north to Bozeman, Montana. And this 100-mile trip follows this river the whole way. Gallatin River. We are in Yellowstone National Park, even though we're not within the gate.
Gallatin River flowing north. There are a bunch of rafters on here today. This flows north and joins the Missouri River. And when we looked at it on the map to see if we could come on this highway, this is just an opening between a flat bottom between the mountains. So it makes it a very good road. There's quite a lot of people out here doing some rafting. This beautiful country. And are we in Idaho or Montana, Jenny? Now we're in Montana, but it goes from Montana to Wyoming to Idaho on this highway. There are a lot of folks having a lot of fun. There's another perspective. Yeah, big mountain up there. Well, there's a little glimpse of the Yellowstone River right over there. We're on Highway 90 going from Bozeman to Billings today. And it's certainly not as pretty a country as it was yesterday coming toward Bozeman over there on 191. But that's the way it goes. We're on the other side of the mountain range from where we were yesterday. On the, what was the name of that river? Whatever, that river where all the folks were rafting. But we're heading east and gonna get to Billings, and from there go into South Dakota and look at Custer's Last Stand and Mount Rushmore and Sturgis and all that stuff. This is a different countryside than probably 30 miles over here to the right. All right, we're crossing over the Yellowstone as it's headed up north to join up with the Missouri River. That's kind of weird, going north. When I was growing up, we were told that no rivers flowed north, but that was wrong. And I think William Clark took the Yellowstone River on the return trip back from the Pacific Ocean. I think that was the route he took, and he and Lewis split up, I think. Anyway, about the river situation, we were told when I was a kid that none of the rivers in North America flowed north. But one of the most obvious ones is the St. Johns River. It flows north from down around Titusville and flows out to the Atlantic Ocean at Jacksonville. So just a correction there. Probably the best view of the Yellowstone that we've seen today. We're about 35 miles out of Billings. We're at Custer's battlefield Last Stand. It began, Custer was over there on top of that mountain range. They were sent here by the government. He and two other commands. One came up from the south and one came from the northwest, and Custer came from the east. Custer was a Civil War hero. He was highly regarded, and he was over there about 13 miles. And there's so much wind noise out here I can't get out of the car, but I'm going to try to show you what happened. He sent one of his battalions this way toward the Little Bighorn, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Shoot this from the car because there's so much, I mean, the wind's blowing 25 miles an hour out of the west, but there's the Little Bighorn right down there, and there were 7,000 to 8,000 Indians encamped that had refused to go to the reservation. They were just making their stand right here. Custer's job, he decided before he got discovered to attack the village. So he sent some of his folks down in here thinking that the Indians would flee, but they didn't. They stood their ground. They put the women and children, told them to go hide in the grass, and the warriors attacked the soldiers and just obliterated them, like 263. This was the beginning of the battle here, but we'll go on up. But there were 7,000 to 8,000 Indians in this. There's the Little Bighorn. It's a river. They were camped along the better shot of the Little Bighorn. This is where it all started right here. I'm gonna get a good vantage point, so I'll do a scan up here of the whole shooting match, but I won't say anything because of the wind noise. I'll just give you a good view of the whole territory around here. What kind of country? All right, panorama. The Indians were down there, Little Bighorn. Custer was on this ridge that I'm on right now, observing what was going on. Interesting fact about this particular battle here. These little markers right here are where soldiers fell and died. And they came out the next day or two and buried them and marked their graves, and the soldiers are right there. It's the only place in the United States that that is done like that. That they weren't gathered up and buried somewhere else. They were buried where they fell. A little cluster of markers right out there, but that's getting closer to the last stand, which is on that hill right over there. So the closer you get to that hill, the more bodies are buried. They also marked the Indians. Only 60 Indians died here, and they're marked in dark granite, but you can see some more of the tombstones out there, and that's where those boys fell. Here's a correction to what I said earlier. They're not still at the marble headstones scattered throughout the property. They're right here at the base of this monument. An interesting little factoid. Markers for the Indians. They're dark granite. Stay right there. Right there. Get against the wall. Get back. That was an Indian memorial over there, but here's a good idea of the grade and the uphill fight. Custer and his guys took the high ground, didn't help them much. Being the location of Custer's last stand, this is also Custer's National Cemetery, which is pretty big. It reached its capacity in 1978. So there'll be no more interments in here of our folks in the armed forces. Big cemetery. We haven't been over Custer, but there's one thing that I did, the ranger told us. They mutilated the bodies, including Custer. He was about 5 feet from where that monument is. And they did things so they couldn't come back in the afterlife. They inserted an arrow in his privates so he couldn't reproduce, and they cut his thigh open so he couldn't mount a horse. So that guaranteed to them that there'd be no more of those folks coming back to fight them. All right, that's it for the Custer, I think. About this after we get back to the bus. There's the Custer monument and all that up on top of that hill where those trees are. And not only did they mutilate the bodies, but they stripped them all for humiliation so they couldn't come back and mess with the Indians. Today is July the 29th, my birthday. Happy birthday. This is the Bighorn River. We're about 50 miles west of where Custer did his last stand. And there's a campground we're staying in over there. There are gracious 2 of us in there. It's called Back Something Campground. This Bighorn River. And it's dammed up right down there. But you talk about that. So look at these buttes up here. We're in the wilderness here. But nobody made us come here.
Leaving Montana after like 3 weeks, back into Wyoming. Heading south I-90 into Wyoming. Those are the Wolf Mountain Ranges.
Today is July the 31st. We're in northern Wyoming. And if I get out of here, I ain't coming back. This is some of the most desolate country I've seen. But of course, all these western states are similar. They're just desolate. Plus, it's hot. I know y'all are hot in Savannah, but it's hot here. It's near 95 degrees. Plus, we were going to Sturgis, through Sturgis, but this is Sturgis' 75th anniversary for the Harley-Davidson folks to gather there. And I heard there were 1.3 million motorcycles expected there. There goes one now, he's going the wrong way. But anyway, they're everywhere. But look at this country. Looks like the moon. Alright, that's enough of that. Check you later. I'm wrapping up this video. We're in Wyoming, and I'll start a new one right behind this, but this is the end of this video.